Hello. So I thought I'd just kind of remind us of kind of why we're here and the situation that we're in. It's pretty much 5 years to the day since the declaration of rebellion was declared by Extinction Rebellion. So I thought I would just read it to remind us. We hold the following to be true. This is our darkest hour. Humanity finds itself embroiled in an event unprecedented in its history. One which, unless immediately addressed, will catapult us further into the destruction of all we hold dear. This nation, its peoples, our ecosystems, and the future of generations to come. The science is clear. We are in the 6th mass extinction event, and we will face catastrophe if we do not act swiftly and robustly. Biodiversity is being annihilated around the world. Our seas are poisoned, acidic, and rising. Flooding and desertification will render vast tracts of land uninhabitable and lead to mass migration. Our air is so toxic that the United Kingdom is breaking the law. It harms the unborn while causing tens of thousands to die. The breakdown of our climate has begun. There will be more wildfires, unpredictable superstorms, increasing famine, and untold drought as food supplies and fresh water disappear. The ecological crises that are impacting upon this nation, and indeed this planet and its wildlife, can no longer be ignored, nor denied, nor go unanswered by any being's sound, rational thought, ethical conscience, moral concern, or spiritual belief. In accordance with these values, the virtues of truth, and the weight of scientific evidence, we declare it our duty to act on behalf of the security and well-being of our children, our communities, and the future of the planet itself. We, in alignment with our consciences, declare ourselves in rebellion against our government and the corrupted, inept institutions that threaten our future. The willful complicity displayed by our government has shattered meaningful democracy and cast aside the common interest in favour of short-term gain and private profits. When government and the law fail to provide any assurance of adequate protection, as well as security for its people's well-being and the nation's future, it becomes the right of its citizens to seek redress in order to restore dutiful democracy and to secure the solutions needed to avert catastrophe and protect the future. It becomes not only our right, it becomes our sacred duty to rebel. We hereby declare the bonds of the social contract to be null and void, which the government has rendered invalid by its continuing failure to act appropriately. We call upon every principled and peaceful citizen to rise with us. We demand to be heard, to apply informed solutions to these ecological crises, and to create a national assembly by which to initiate those solutions needed to change our present cataclysmic bequeath a dying planet to future generations by failing to act now. We act in peace, with ferocious love in our hearts, ferocious love of these lands. We act on behalf of life. Thank you. So a little bit of samba, and then we've got some amazing speakers for you. Let's go, samba.
What's your name?
Oh, brilliant.
How are you doing? You all right? This hat and it's on the copy of Rebel City. Sorry, what's the problem?
Good morning, everybody. Live stream once again. I'm Marine, and we are outside Standard Bank here on number 20 Gresham Street, right in the heart of the city of London in the UK. We've got the samba band is about to start, so we might move away a little bit so that we don't get too much interference with the sound. So why are we here today? So those of you who watched the live stream yesterday know that the Oily Money Out campaign is underway. It's a beautiful collaboration. Really, we have to thank our friends at Fossil Free London for instigating this amazing plan, and it's just come together so brilliantly. There's the Coal Network Coalition. There are various groups. There's loads of different groups taking part today. Money Rebellion is here, and we'll be listening to some speakers later. Earlier, just now, you heard someone read out the original Declaration of Rebellion from nearly 5 years ago. So on the 31st of October, it'll be 5 years since we've read out that Declaration when we started Extinction Rebellion and announced to the world who we were and what our intentions are. We're 5 years on, and arguably, excuse the language, but we are now more fucked than ever. So the need for these protests has only become more urgent over the years, and we're delighted to be back here in this beautiful coalition of different people. So you can hear the samba band behind me. But what's really going on today? So there's protests all over the city today to ask insurance companies and investors not to get involved with the ECOP project. Now, ECOP is the East African Crude Oil Pipeline. It's a pipeline that's going to run through Uganda, where they'll be drilling into Tanzania, where it then meets the sea, where it will be shipped to be refined and used. Now, there's a huge controversy around this pipeline, because should we, as the West, be telling Africa that they can't drill for oil and that they can't make money out of fossil fuels, whereas we've been doing this for over 150 years? Is it really within our right to be telling other countries what they can and cannot do when we have so much responsibility already on the climate and ecological emergency? But of course, when we speak to people on the ground in Uganda, in Kenya, in Tanzania, they say, well, actually, this isn't benefiting our country. This isn't the famous trickle-down economy that we all have been promised that never really transpired. People are being violently evicted from their homes to make space for where the pipeline is going to be running. People are losing their land, their homes, as I say. There's risk of pollution and contamination of rivers that people rely on. There's risk of contamination of drinking water. There's obviously the huge environmental impact of having of drilling for oil, and then there is the climate impact of what is going to happen to this oil once it's been out of the ground, transported over to sea to be shipped and refined, and it's then going to get used and increase emissions in our atmosphere. So it isn't really a fact that loads of people in these countries in East Africa are thrilled about this pipeline at all. And we'll be hearing more of that from representatives from those communities themselves later on. So don't take my word for it. That whatever we get promised about the profits and the jobs and the economy that is going to boost, that in actual fact isn't necessarily going to happen. So anyway, that's why we're here outside Standard Bank. We're going to be perhaps visiting some other locations to be confirmed, or we're staying here all day. This is the beauty of the live stream. But anyway, it's going to be very exciting. So we're just waiting for the samba band to play some of their samba. Although, actually, no, it's not called Samba Band anymore. It's XR Rhythms. I keep getting told off. Sorry, XR Rhythms are doing some drumming, inspirational. Lots of people trying to get into the office, trying to, thinking they've got a normal Wednesday morning ahead of them in their usual office, but they're not able to get in. I think they need to get in through another entrance. And I think there's going to be some speakers now. So let's go and find out who's going to be speaking. Oh, there's Etienne on the mic. Nice one.
Congratulations to Robin if you have. We're here for a very important cause today. We're here to bring about the end of oily money in our political system, to expose its corrupt influence on our politics, on all the decisions that get made, on how the City of London here, the oily money flows through the City of London out across the world, spreading its tentacles into all sorts of projects that damage, degrade and end the lives of millions, thousands of people around the world, thousands of beings, beautiful ecosystems damaged. And the reason, the place that starts is the money that flows through this place here. So I want to welcome to the stage right now a brave person speaking on behalf of the Stop ECOP campaign. Neo, will you come to the stage? Give her a big welcome, please, and say, yeah, we don't want ECOP, stop ECOP. Welcome, Neo.
Imagine enabling the displacement of 100,000 people, ruining water resources for 40 million people, and destroying the environment because you want more money. Standard Bank, have you lost your mind? In case you have lost your mind, Standard Bank, here are some facts to freshen up your memory. The ECOP would be the longest crude oil pipeline in the world. 900 miles of heated pipeline through Uganda and Tanzania. The ECOP would threaten to displace 100,000 people. It poses significant risks to water resources and wetlands, including Lake Victoria Basin, which over 40 million people rely upon for drinking water and food production. The pipeline would rip through numerous sensitive biodiversity hotspots and several nature reserves. And finally, the pipeline is a climate bomb. The ECOP will increase the severity of the global climate emergency by transporting heated oil that will generate over 34 million tons of carbon emissions each year. Building a massive crude oil pipeline today, when the whole world is trying to urgently shift away from fossil fuels, makes no sense, environmentally or economically. Why would anyone want to support this nightmare project?
Shame on you! Shame on you!
Not many people so far. More than 23 banks have already committed not to provide financing for the ECO project, which has led Total Energies to postpone their deadline yet again. Standard Bank, do you really want to be on the wrong side of history here? Here's a message for you from a student in Uganda who wants to remain anonymous. Standard Bank, stop funding ECOP. The land acquisition for the oil refinery project in Hoima will continue leaving us landless and homeless. This is what you are enabling for hundreds and thousands of people. But don't be fooled, Standard. This won't just affect the people of Uganda and Tanzania. The ECOP will also affect your children and your grandchildren. How will you justify this to them? How can you justify it to yourself? I want to share some words from the great Bob Dylan. Maybe you'll listen to him. You've thrown the worst fear that can ever be hurled, fear to bring children into the world. for threatening my baby, unborn and unnamed. You ain't worth the blood that runs in your vein. How much do I know to talk out of turn? You might say that I'm young. You might say I'm unlearned. But there's one thing I know, though I'm younger than you, that even Jesus would never forgive what you do. Let me ask you one question. Is your money that good? Will it buy you forgiveness? Do you think that it could? I think you will find when your death takes its toll, all the money you made will never buy back your soul. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leo. I just cannot believe it. Can you just stand for a moment and imagine a pipeline that is heated all the way running all those miles, burning the very fossil fuels that is transporting, that disgusting goo that's going to go around creating such damage. I absolutely cannot even imagine how horrendous that is. So thank you for being all the way from here, Neo. And I've got our next guest on the stage here. If we can we give a big round of applause to Patience? Patience, where are you? Oh, Patience is here. Patience is a youth activist all the way from Uganda. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
I'm glad to see everyone here this morning as we call those who are snatching our future from us to action. My name is Patience Nabukalu. I'm a climate justice activist from Uganda. I'm here to address a pressing concern that affects not just the region, but the entire world. The United Nations Executive Director, Mr. Antonio Guterres, and scientific experts have determinedly made it clear that the time for action on climate change is now. We've seen the catastrophic consequences of unchecked fossil fuel extraction, and it's evident that there should be no more oil and gas extraction if we are to safeguard our planet and our future. However, there is a disheartening contradiction that we must confront. Banks, including institutions like Standard Bank, are continuing to finance a climate bomb in the making, the East African Crude Oil Pipeline. This project, if allowed to proceed, it will emit staggering 44 million metric tons of carbon emissions, directly contradicting the commitments made in the Paris Agreement. This pipeline threatens to displace over 100,000 people, leaving them homeless and vulnerable. Standard Bank, the largest bank in South Africa, and it's also the largest financer of fossil fuels on the entire African continent. Remains uncommitted to stopping the financing of fossil fuels and has not initiated divestment. This instance is unacceptable and goes against growing global consensus for climate action. In South Africa, concerned citizens have voiced their objections through peaceful protests. Just recently, an ongoing camp outside Standard Bank has violently broken up on its fourth day, highlighting the urgency and the gravity of the situation. It's worth noting that other South African banks, such as FirstRand and Investec, have already recognized the devastation consequences of the East African Crude Oil Pipeline and rolled out financing this project. We should follow suit. The East African crude oil pipeline will ravage the lands of East Africa, destroying fertile farmlands and possibly displacing countless people. It's a project that reeks of injustice, with the primary beneficiaries being the banks and Western companies like Total. While Uganda and Tanzania are left shouldering the debt from their paths of development. Furthermore, it's critical to understand that Standard Bank's involvement in this project puts its own reputation at considerable risk. Climate conscious individuals and organizations worldwide are closely monitoring the action of financial institutions. In conclusion, we must join the growing chorus of voices demanding that every special bank roll out financing the East African crude oil pipeline. It's more moral duty to protect the environment, support local communities, and hold financial institutions accountable for their actions. Together, we can stand up for climate justice and a sustainable future for all. Defund Total. Defund the East African crude oil pipeline. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patience. Let's give it a shout for both Neo and Patience. Thank you. And let us never forget those in resistance in parts of the world far away from here who are suffering right now. We are doing our bit, but they are out there right now suffering for us all. Now, I've got a little request to make of all of you. Could we please just clear the road temporarily, I must add, just to allow some catering firm or something to come through, and then we're going to take the road straight away afterwards. So if you could just let them through very briefly. I believe we're going to go back in the road straight afterwards, if you'd be so willing and kind. I know it might stick in the throat slightly. This guy seems to be going the wrong way around, but... And in the meantime, we'll... once we get there... Is that them done? Is that all right? Oh, we can go back in the road. Well done, everybody. Well done, us. We thought, yeah, it could have been, but who knows? Okay, so everybody, we're back in place. Can I get a bit of a whooping and hollering that we're still here outside in front of Standard Bank. And I was remarking to myself as I came here this morning, just now, you know, these banks all around here is absolutely drenched with fossil fuel money. This money is coming out through the City of London, and we actually hardly know what's going on in these places. And it's really important that people like us, other groups all around, are bringing to attention what is actually going on here. These fossil fuel companies, this oily money is buying our democracy, is buying our future, taking it for granted, taking us for a ride, destroying our planet, and they're doing so completely anonymously and without any scrutiny. And it's good that we're here to draw attention to them. So next up, I'm going to ask someone called Roman, who is here, an activist from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Is that right? Oh, reading a statement. Excuse me. My apologies. So yeah, thank you, Roman. Over to you. Thank you, Roman here.
So I'm going to read a letter that has been written by many activists in DRC who are fighting against the East African crude oil pipeline. Today, the global fight to put an end to the fossil fuels is joined by thousands of international and national activists calling on all financiers of oil projects to stop funding these projects. The ECOP project, which has already caused serious damage and harm to mankind and his people in Uganda and Tanzania, is influencing the exploration and exploitation of 27 oil blocks and 3 gas blocks in the eastern part of Democratic Republic of Congo, the largest of which are located in protected areas. These blocks have been put up for sale by the government in the Democratic Republic of Congo, a country that for decades has never enjoyed political, economic, or social stability, a country that has been victim of multiple massacres by armed groups. In view of the above, we, climate activists from Democratic Republic of Congo, in solidarity with activists from all over the world, and in particular those who are gathering today in front of Standard Bank, we declare today that Standard Bank and other financiers of the ECO project immediately halt financing the ECO project. We call for the cancellation of the selling of 30 oil and gas blocks listed in the protected areas and areas occupied by indigenous people in Democratic Republic of Congo. We call for non-new fossil fuel projects, non-new approvals, licenses, permits, or extensions to be accepted. And finally, we call for the provision of a sufficient, consensual, predictable, public, and subsidy-based climate financing and debt cancellation for all creditors so that the countries have the resources they need for the transition and are no longer forced to exploit fossil fuels to generate revenue to repay the debt. Thank you. So today we also have the luck to have the CEO of Standard Bank that is gonna walk through us. And I think it's a good time to say, Standard Bank, shame on you. 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 When I say Standard Bank, you say stop, ECOP. Standard Bank, 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 stop, ECOP. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roman. And now the next person on the stage is going to read out a statement from some brave activists, some brave resistors who occupied Standard Bank in South Africa. And it'd be really great to hear from them now. So please come forward and give it a round. What's your name? Rosanna. All right.
Hi, everybody. It's so fantastic to see so many of you out here today standing in solidarity with activists in Uganda, people in Uganda who are resisting ECOP already. Sometimes it feels so scary to think about how companies like Total, funded by banks like Standard Bank, can go anywhere in the world and extract fossil fuels. But yeah, what gives me hope and makes me feel less scared is people like us, people like patients, people like the French activists who have come over from France, who are protesting against Total there, and also people in Uganda and Tanzania and the DRC who are on the front lines and who are resisting the pipeline every day. So now I want to read out a statement by brave Extinction Rebellion activists from South Africa who risked their liberty, put their bodies on the line to occupy Standard Bank in Johannesburg to demand that this bank stops funding the climate crisis. On the 19th of September, about 100 people from Gauteng province, South Africa, decided to occupy Standard Bank's offices in Johannesburg. These people were from working class and middle class backgrounds, united in a common stance against a criminal economic elite. In our mobilizations building up to the action, we stressed that we could target 100 different institutions in our country for their collective crimes against humanity. And we chose Standard Bank because if they wanted to, they could provide renewable energy to every poor community in the country. Instead, they chose to be a climate laggard and subject millions of people to death. These choices are made because their executives choose to live soft lives, earning 50 million a year while the rest of the country starves. And that was the rallying cry to get movements across different causes to unite and disrupt for 3 days. The site also acted as an opportunity to learn from famous South African activists who voiced their support for us. We set up a camp and we refused to leave until their CEO, Sim Shabalala, agreed to debate us on live TV. And after Standard Bank commits to no new coal by 2024, we were brutalized by private security and police. One of our activists lost consciousness and another was illegally detained. People left bruised and hurt. Our lives were threatened, and it highlighted how difficult it is to protest in Africa. But we have made the case for civil resistance, and we won't stop disrupting illegally if needed. What's being organised in the UK is a genuine show of solidarity. Hold the bastards accountable for their crimes. Do it for those who cannot disrupt as safely. Sacrifice your time, energy, passion, and freedom by engaging in non-stop civil resistance. And not just because it's our most effective response, but because we have no other choice if we want to live lives of virtue.
It's the least we could do, right? Just to be here, standing in the road for a little while, making our voices heard and hearing the voices of those people out there who are taking very brave steps on all our behalf. So now I'm going to invite Sid to the stage. We're going to do a little bit of chanting. I understand that there's some people out there who've got little bits of paper with some words on. Will you wave it around if you've got a piece of paper with some words on, just so that we can see? People might want to come and stand with you and read over your shoulder. Wicked. We can see a few of you. All right. Sid, are you ready? I am ready. Let's go.
Okay, we're going to start with Hey Standard. This is to the tune of Hey Standard. Oh, you're going to have to do better than that. Let's try that again. Hey Standard. Ooh, ah, I want to know. Let me do that. I've got to read my own words here. Hey, Standard. Ooh, ah, I want to know how you sleep at night. Louder. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, Standard. Ooh, ah, I want to know how you sleep at night. Come on, let's hear ya. 3, 4. Hey, Standard. Ooh, ah, I want to know how you sleep at night. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, Standard. Ooh, ah, I want to know how you sleep at night. Woo! Okay, this one's to the tune of Love and Marriage. Banks and oil, making profits while the planet boils. You're a bunch of bankers, You can't have morals if you're standard. Banks and oil, making profits while the planet boils. You're a bunch of bankers. You can't have morals if you're standard. Banks and oil, making profits while the planet boils. You're a bunch of bankers. You can't have morals if you're standard. Woo! O-I-L-Y. You don't have an alibi. You're oily. You're oily. O-I-L-Y. You don't have no alibi. You're oily. Oi, oi, you're oily. Oi, oi. O-I-L-Y. You don't have no alibi. You're oily. Oi, oi, you're oily. Oi, oi. O-I-L-Y. You don't have no alibi. You're oily. Oi, oi, you're oily. Oi, oi. O-I-L-Y. You don't have no alibi. You're oily. Oi, oi, you're oily. Oi, oi. Ran out of breath there. Let's try this one. I don't know if this is on your sheet, but we'll try it anyway. So this is to the tune of Don't You Forget About Me, Simple Minds. Don't you ensure that mine free for standard. Don't you ensure a cup. Standard. Don't you finance a cup. Standard. Don't you insure a cup, finance a cup. Standard. Don't you finance a cup. Standard. Don't you finance a cup. Whoop. Really well. So this is the top one to the tune of Minnie the Moocher. 1, 2, 3. Hidey, hi. We are running out of time. Hidey, oh. Fossil fuels have got to go. Hidey, hi. We are running out of time. Hody, ho. Fossil fuels have got to go. Hidey, hi. We are running out of time. Hody, ho. Fossil fuels have got to go. Woo! Okay, so this next one, lovely samba band, if you can try and play along with these. So, dun dun dun, 3, 4, dun dun dun, kind of thing. Bam bam, bam bam, bam bam, bam bam. You've got it, great. We don't need no oily money. We don't need no oil and coal. We demand you rule out ECOP. Standardly big oil alone. Hey, standard! Leave big oily money. We don't need you, oil and coal. We demand you rule out teacup. Standard big oil alone. Hey, Standard! Leave big all alone. We don't need no oily money. We don't need new oil and coal. We demand you rule out teacup. Standardly big oil alone. Hey, Standard! Leave big all alone. Leave big all alone. Leave big all alone. Leave big all alone. Hey, Standard! Hey, Standard! Hey, Standard! Leave big all alone. Leave big all alone. Leave big all alone. Leave big all alone. Thank you.
Okay, a little bit of samba, yeah?
the Standard Bank headquarters here in London, in the City of London. We just heard from some really amazing speakers. These incredible young activists who are doing all these incredible things to raise awareness about this ECOP project that is running not through Kenya. I thought it was running that way round, but it's running that way round. So it's not going through Kenya. It's going from Uganda straight into Tanzania to the port of Tanga. So up from Lake Albert on the border with Congo into Tanga. And the destruction and the chaos that the construction of this pipeline is going to be causing is just incredible in terms of social justice, human rights, climate, environment. It's right by a nature reserve as well, and we'll be going through all these incredibly important biodiverse areas. And the worst of it is that obviously the people of these countries are going to have to put up with all the negative impacts of this pipeline, not to mention the actual drilling of the oil in Lake Albert, in the Lake Albert area. But they also will not be feeling the economic benefits of this. The whole idea that this is going to be a trickle-down economy, as we have seen in so many oil countries, just simply isn't true. So why should they suffer? Why should they give up their environment, their clean air, their clean water for something that isn't even going to benefit them in any way financially? And also, I think we forget that people in those countries are passionate about where they live. They're passionate about their environment. They're passionate about the climate. They're on the front line of climate change already. So they don't want to be part of this project that is going to put even more carbon emissions into the atmosphere. So we've got the samba band in the background right now. We are going to, I think, and we had some lovely chanting as well. So I hope you're all chanting along at home, wherever you are. And so, yeah, the interesting thing is Standard Bank is mostly, it's a South African bank, but obviously the headquarters are here, and it's all intrinsically interlinked. So there's the financing, but there's also the insurance. There is all these different organizations that you don't necessarily think when you think Shell, BP, Exxon, all the usual suspects. There are all these other organizations, all these other multinational companies that are playing a massive role in this industry. Without insurance, without financing, without investing, these projects wouldn't be able to come to fruition. And not to mention, obviously, the engineer organizations, people who are actually going to build the pipeline. All these organizations need to be spoken to and put pressure on so that they will not take part in this project. We do, of course, need to think about global justice, climate justice, environmental justice. So how will people, if we are saying no fossil fuels, how are people going to make a living, if indeed they were going to be making a living out of this project in the first place? And this is really what we mean when we talk about a just transition. So we want to make sure that we're not just saying no ECOP and leave it at that. We're saying no ECOP and what are we going to do about it? How are we going to make sure that we have good, solid projects for people? For example, in renewable energy or in other ways that people can make a future that they can be proud of, a future that is safe, that is healthy, that isn't filled with fear and conflict and drought and flooding and famine. So that's exactly what we talk about when we talk about climate and ecological justice, which is why here in XR UK, our third demand is for a citizens' assembly on climate and ecological justice. I believe there are speeches going on again, I'm not sure, but maybe we'll have a little wander over and see what's going on the mic over there. Let's have a listen.
So we're going to go and visit them if you would like to. Help get people into a position and set us off in the right direction. We got our heads doing somewhere.
So it's just been announced that even though we were definitely going to stay here all day, we are now going to move around the City of London, because we're not just talking about ECOPs today, we're also talking about the West Cumbria mine. Hi, Etienne. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm happy. It's cool. We've got good vibes, good group. Just starting out now in the public domain, so hopefully we're going to get to see a little bit of footage about what's going on around London, because, of course, you know, this is not just a little show here. There's things happening around.
Yeah, exactly. So this is just a little taster of what's to come. There are going to be occupations in various buildings. I think, are we allowed to talk about it now?
Yes.
So there are people in Chaucer, which is a insurance. Are they insurance or are they investment? There's so many of these organisations that we don't even know about. Wait, I don't know which camera.
That's all right. We're working both.
Now.
We're going this one. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, great, brilliant. So yeah, we're targeting not just fossil fuel companies. I think people are very used to outside, whatever. But now we're talking about banks, insurance companies, investors.
These are the enablers, aren't they? These are the fossil fuel enablers. These are the organisations that support fossil fuel companies to do their expansions. And without that work, without the finance, without the lawyers, without the insurance, actually, those things wouldn't be able to happen. And it's really interesting because, you know, we believe, and it's actually, you know, a lot of people know what's going on. The insurance companies know that they're facing huge risks. And I'm sure they're thinking to themselves, are we actually going to insure these massive projects? Are we going to, you know, are we putting ourselves up to basically a financial disaster by insuring them? So it's interesting. We're going to expose these companies and we're going to give them a way out. You know, we're saying, look, we know what you're up to. The world is going to know what you're up to. You are now complicit in the destruction of the natural world, in the destruction of our future, in the theft of our future. And so we're going to say, look, you can just back out now. There's the door. Don't fund these, you know, don't support these fossil fuel projects. Give us all a break and, you know, let them find someone else to do your dirty work.
Because I think that was very clearly the ask today, wasn't it, of the speakers as well, and of the many young activists who are here today, is to say, look, you know this is wrong. Don't be on the wrong side of history and just don't fund this project.
Yeah. And that's the thing, isn't it? You know, this is all about, we've got to start moving. We've got to get on the trail, as they say. Yeah, I mean, this is interesting, isn't it? So we're at this point in history. We've seen this year so far has been absolutely horrendous. The climate collapse that we're starting to see, you know, that is becoming more and more apparent, is now on the headlines. We're seeing repeated problems, you know, repeated devastating issues around the world. We're in the middle of the samba band here, so we're going to have to try and find our way somewhere else. Let's go up the side there. And yeah, it's becoming more and more clear now that, you know, we are now witnessing the beginning of the collapse of our planet's ability to support life. And every moment that we continue to do the harm, every moment that we continue burning fossil fuels, every moment that we continue extracting fossil fuels, is making this problem worse. And so we are calling this whole project here, these few days, out of our politics, out of our social systems, so that we can actually transition to something better, something healthier, something fairer. And this is critical again today. We'll be talking about how things are being exploited, how countries, how peoples are being exploited and ruined in the dash of these oil and gas assets, which are now literally no longer needed because we know they are going to kill us. So I think it's really important. If people want to get involved, you know how to find out. You know, look up oily money on the internet. Check out Extinction Rebellion. There's loads of different organisations involved in this right now, and we're all pointing to the same thing. We need that just transition. We need an end to the corruption of our politics.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's been so interesting to be here while this conference is obviously going on, the Energy Intelligence Forum. Were you there yesterday?
I was there yesterday. It was really interesting. I mean, We are the conference centre, this hotel, the InterContinental Hotel Hyde Park. I'll just give a quick shout out to them. You can always give them a Google review if you want. You can even call them up, actually. I called them up 3 times last week asking them to not have the conference at their hotel. But they carried on, and of course then lots of activists turned up, made it very difficult for the delegates, the CEO bosses and fossil fuel apologists to get into their conference. But that, they were stopped getting in there. A lot of them went in and did their shady, murky dealings. But the truth is that these companies, they know what's going on. Their business models are incompatible with an organised future civilization, human civilization. Yeah. And they know what they're doing, but they're continuing to do it. And I spoke with a few people on the outside saying, we've got to be part of the transition. We're trying our best doing like green energy. And it's like, absolutely, we heard in that just a moment ago. Ope was at the front of the hotel this morning. I think Equinor, famously the company that is going to exploit the Rosebank oil field, I think they've invested about 0.013% of their money into renewables, yet they claim to be on the case for a transition. It's completely outrageous. So
absolutely, and it's not. It's also, we're obviously slowly starting to head towards COP28 as well, the big climate summit for the UN, and the company that the president of COP28 owns is investing a tiny amount, and it's all over the front page of the COP28 website, is that they're investing so much. But if you look at their profits and then look at the percentage of those profits that they are actually investing in green renewable energy, it's tiny. So they're doing big talk and lovely photos of wind turbines and whatnot.
It's greenwash. Simply it's greenwash. I don't know if any of you get a chance to look at it. Greta Thunberg spoke yesterday. Famously, she was arrested yesterday as part of the action. But she spoke of a tidal wave of greenwash. A tidal wave of greenwash is what we're seeing now, because they know, these companies know that the game is up, and they're now fighting a sort of rearguard action where they are saying, we're doing this transition, and even worse than that, they're saying we're vital for the transition. If you don't keep us going, we're going to slow. We're not going to be able to help the transition to happen, which is effectively like saying, getting the turkeys. Well, no, is it the turkeys vote for Christmas? It's not quite the same thing. It's the opposite. I don't quite know what it is.
And it's a really nice segue into what's happening later on today, where we've got the Greenwash Awards. It's also PR week, so public relations week, and there'll be an alternative award ceremony happening outside the PR award ceremony tonight. Because I was just saying to Etienne that obviously normally you see us outside Shell, you see us outside BP. Now we're looking at banks, investors, insurance companies. But there's also another industry, a big group of companies that are profiting from this, and that is the PR and marketing industry, where they are obviously hired by the likes of Shell or whatever to push that message of, look how green we are, look how much money we're putting into green energy, and look what we're developing and look what we're trying to do. So this is another sector that we really need to look at, or we should be saying to these publication houses, to these marketing companies, to these advertising companies, and say, do not take on these kinds of clients. This is not okay. You are literally lying to the public if you are making it seem, well, this is the trick, right? So they're not actually lying, because they are investing a teeny tiny little percentage into renewables, but they are blowing it out of proportion, making it sound like that is what the fossil fuel companies are doing, that they are majorly investing in this, and that this is a big part of their plan, and this is a priority. When you look at the numbers, when you look at the figures, when you see how little is actually being invested, you just know that it is not a priority. But from the ad campaigns that you see out there, it makes you feel like it is a priority. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. We'll be releasing some more information about the Greenwash Awards later on today. That will be happening later on this evening. But for now, we are marching, and I'm not sure where to. But let's talk about.
I've got someone to chat to.
Brilliant! Perfect.
Everybody, Will Attenborough from the Coal Action Network has joined us. I spotted him earlier on, and Will, I thought it'd be interesting. First of all, do you want to just talk about like what brought you here today? I think first of all.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi everyone. My name's Will. I'm an organizer at Coal Action Network. We do lots and lots of organizing around UK coal, but also connection to the UK. So whether they're funded, they're in, and right now, as I'm sure you know, in the heart of sort of global capitalism, the City of London, where Lloyd's of London was founded. It's an insurance marketplace that was founded to insure the slave trade, and it remains one of these like kind of mysterious but like really sort of central capitalist instruments that insures fossil fuel projects all around the world: coal, oil, gas, tar sands. We're here today because we have an activist called Patience Stabakalu, who's traveled all the way from Uganda. She is on the front line of the climate crisis in the sense that the East Africa crude oil pipeline, otherwise known as ECOP, is being built on her doorstep, so to speak, local to her. She's a Fridays for Future activist who's traveled here to campaign and confront and talk to, communicate with some of the people who are potentially insuring and funding that pipeline.
So it was amazing. I'll try and catch up with Patience a little bit later on. But Will, I think it's interesting. So a lot of people, say, "Oh, Great Britain, we're only responsible for like 1% of global emissions," right? This is one that you get here all the time, and people out there watching this, people probably hearing this, and if you talk about, I'm an environmental activist or whatever, they'll say, "Oh, well, what are you wasting time for? Britain only does 1%," and I'm like, that's not true. Because Britain may be, and it's, that's a questionable figure, I believe, anyway. But one thing I have heard is that the City of London, at one point, maybe this is maybe out of date by a year or two, but certainly a year or so back, it was saying that the City of London, through the City of London flows about 15% of global fossil fuel funding. And people don't realise that. So in a way, the City of London, this small square mile or whatever it is, of companies and organisations, actually is responsible for funding 15% of, the world's fossil fuel industries. And that would mean if they could use their influence, they could turn that 15% over to other good uses, couldn't they? And in fact, they're choosing through the corruption that they have, they're so close to these fossil fuel companies that they are just actually, that they are using, it could be done so much better, couldn't it? And I just think people don't really realise that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's helpful for us to sort of widen the lens when we talk about this. So I understand when people say, this, for example, coal is largely, we'll see with the West Cumbria coal mine, but it's largely dead in the UK, whereas it's a huge amount of coal production in China, for example. However, I think it's helpful to step back and look at more of our history, not just these sort of years that we're in right now, but ever since the Industrial Revolution, the UK has been one of the biggest emitters of greenhouse gas emissions. We therefore have a level of responsibility to go, okay, we've really benefited from that Industrial Revolution, from all that growth, from all that sort of comfort and wealth that we've derived from that. We therefore have a responsibility to make sure that we're cleaning up some of the mess that we've created. I also think we can kind of, we can recognize that for better or worse, as a tiny island, we have a huge cultural impact across the world. Yeah. And I think what's been really damning about what Rishi Sunak and this Conservative government have been doing is that they are ceding leadership. Yeah. They are failing to present the UK as I would imagine they would want to present it patriotically. Look how powerful, we're a great, lucky country, etc., etc. Try to imagine what language they would use. But they've really given up that mantle to be a forward-thinking leader on this issue. And then, just to respond to your other point, this financial has a huge global reach. So, though we may be a smaller, in terms of just within our country than, say, India and China. Thank you, per capita, exactly.
Per country, but per capita, our footprints in this country are still much greater than the vast majority of the people around the world.
Right, and actually, just even on that, I mean, the average sort of greenhouse gas footprint of like the average British person, it's like 30 times what the of a day, carbon element. Like what happens here, like right where we are standing, has massive global impact. I mean, I spend all my time, it sounds really boring, but I spend all my time campaigning on insurers. Insurance really is the Achilles heel of fossil fuel projects.
Oh, right, now we're talking. Explain a little bit about that.
Okay, so we all know you have to start building new fossil fuel infrastructure.
Yeah.
To build something new, a new oil field or coal mine, you need three things. You need permits, you need financing, money, and you need insurance. Insurers should be really wise to this issue. They're in the business of risk. They're very sort of data driven. And what we're seeing is that they're having to pay out huge amounts of money because of flooding and wildfires. But we're also seeing that they are continuing to insure the companies that are causing all of those issues. So
how's that working? Have they got their heads under in the sand deliberately, or are they missing the information? Because it seems to me, we're seeing now the costs around the world of floods, fires, repeated, extreme weather events are going to destroy insurance. It's going to make properties and stuff uninsurable.
Yeah.
The risks and also the reputational risk, you think, is going to have to be priced in as well. It's going to cost more for these companies to get the permission and to maintain their social contracts. It's all going to amount up. But this seems to me crazy that insurance companies aren't somehow wise to that yet, or are they? And they're actually moving slowly to the doors and trying to shuffle out while they still can.
I mean, I think it varies a lot depending on the insurer, but there are some for whom there is just blatant hypocrisy. So American insurers like AIG, we're actually on our way right now to visit the offices of AIG.
Oh, wow, cool.
Their London office. AIG or Chubb or State Farm, these big US insurers are pulling out of the areas that you're talking about. They're saying they're not going to give home insurance in California or Florida or Louisiana because of all this flooding and the wildfires. And at the same time are underwriting new coal, new oil and gas.
Oh, wow.
And they're getting heat from it. They are getting heat from it from American senators like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are saying, this doesn't add up. This is pure hypocrisy. And I think there's just a financial interest there, right? Like it's big money. And there's entire teams whose job it is to underwrite oil and gas and coal.
So I think this has been interesting because, there's so much going on here. And when I started being involved in environmental activism or campaigning, I just thought, it seems much more simple. But then we start to see the way this is all tangled up together and how much it boils down to money. It boils down to people and companies wanting to carry on doing what they've always done, which has been very good for them financially. And they don't want to change. And, Greta, again, yesterday in I think was talking about, how is this just disgusting, really, what's going on. By the way that, are we arriving at a new place now? Or are we sort of, it looks, in fact, here we go. Look, there's some people. Let's see if we can get in front of the window. Thank you so much for being here, Will. This is great. Come on, let's have a look. Looks like there's a load of people in the bank. Come on, let's go and check it out. Yeah, look, there's loads of people in the windows. Woo! Look, can we see in there? It looks like there's a fine array of people standing there. I didn't see a sign on the window, but it's saying drop ECOP. So this is one of those organisations who are supporting the East Africa crude oil pipeline. And just for those people who know what Crude, the ECOP is. It's a horrendous project, ecologically disruptive. So there's a nice crew of people in there. So yeah, and they're also talking about ensuring the West Cumbria coal mine. And these projects are completely at odds with the survival, future survival of the human civilization. And also, let's not forget, a great many other species who are going to be taken down. I don't know if you can hear, there's a lot of enthusiasm. Let's have a look. There's a good crowd that's assembled here. There's a whole load of people. We've come to support them. There's a few faces I recognise there. ECOP now! Stop 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 ECOP now! All right, so we're going to try and move away slightly from the front window there. So that seems like a nice plan that has happened. And it looks like they're going to be sat in there for the duration. I'm not sure we're going to get to speak to them necessarily, but it's really a really cool action. And I'm going to guess this is happening in a few different sites around London right now. Of course, this Oily Money Out, Fossil Free London, Extinction Rebellion, Greenpeace, lots of different organisations involved, all coming at it with their skill sets, all coming at it from their different angles. So I'm calling on anyone who's watching this, you know, if you feel turbulence, if you feel turmoil, if you feel tension inside your body, watching all the horrible things that are going on in the world, watching the things and thinking, this isn't right. I don't want to stand by and just stand on the sidelines. There's so many channels, there's so many ways that you can get involved. The trick is here, you know, it feels bad to see this on the news. It feels bad to read about it on the internet. It feels bad to hear stories about it, perhaps to see the devastation. And I always say the best medicine is action. You know, the best thing you can do for yourself is to come and join with other people who are taking action, come and join other groups who actually got a plan for trying to tackle this. We don't know what's going to work, but we're determined to pull every lever that we possibly can to try and stop this catastrophe, to try and stop the harm as quickly as we can, because we must. As one of the final speakers said at the end, just in front of Standard Bank there, this is about being a good human being. This is about living a life that you can be proud of. Where you can say, actually, I didn't just, you know, sit in despair. I didn't just feel that powerlessness that we all have inside us. We all have that possibility. But we also have that possibility of actually saying to ourselves, yes, I'm not going to stand for this. I'm going to find other people. We are going to stand. We are going to resist. We are going to make a point of using our lives, not just for living, you know, day to day. We're going to use our lives for living a life of purpose, a life of meaning, a life for a reason, a life that's connected to other people. That's all right. You can come through. And that's what this is about. This is time in history that we've been born into. If we were born 10 years later, I don't know what it's going to be like. If we were born 10 years earlier, I don't know what it was like back then, but we are alive right now. We're alive in times where we have the position, we have the power, the potential to choose our future. We have the potential to influence our future. So I've just been handed a leaflet here. So this is about the ensuring the West Cumbria coal mine. I don't know if you can see what's written on there. I'm going to have a quick glance at it. So yeah, as you can see, it's the first new underground coal mine in the UK for 30 years. Completely bananas. It was condemned by the UK's own government advisors, the Climate Change Committee. You know, they told the government that it's not sensible. Bizarrely and strangely, you know, there's a lot of talk similar to the Rosebank oil field, which will be heading up to that as well. The talk from the government has been about a complete load of whatever you want to call it. Basically, a lot of the coal will be extracted from the West Cumbria coal mine will be exported. The gas that will be taken out of Rosebank will be exported. It's not owned by the British people. It's not for the British people. It's actually looks like we're in a bit of a smoky section. going to be exported and used to enrich and maximise the profits of those companies who own those assets. And in the process, UK people and UK public get to miss out on the tax revenues because very, very often those revenues are not taxed. So, for example, with Rosebank, I happen to be caught up on this. They reckon that the subsidies and the tax breaks that are going to be given, so they don't necessarily have to be subsidies directly, they can be tax breaks that would have otherwise been put on. £3.75 billion of potential revenues from tax from the Rosebank oil fields are going to basically not be raised. Think about what those £3.75 billion can be used for. They could solve so many problems. They're used to address so many problems in this country. Yet our government, because of their corruption, because of the way that oily money has corrupted our politics, that money is not going to be going to us. It's going to be going straight into the profits of Equinor, which actually is the Norwegian oil company. So we don't get to see it. And this West Cumbria coal mine is again another example of a bad decision made by a government that is completely captured by oily money, by dirty fossil fuel money. Anyway, I can see Marine is next to me. Have you got something to talk about?
Well, I have another interview lined up. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, I'm just going to grab
Well, we've got a mixture of pink and black smoke going on, but we are going to try and... Oh, here we go. Over to Marine.
So I've just been talking to our viewers. Oh, I don't know. Where am I looking? This one? That one? This one? Okay, with this mic. Okay, who knows? Right, it's live stream. So I've just been talking to our viewers about this need for justice. Obviously, ECOP is in Africa, and people are like, well, shouldn't they be allowed to make money of oil? Because we have been for so many years. But it doesn't quite add up that way. So this is Daisy from Global Justice Now, who can talk about this much better than I can. Daisy, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad you brought that up because that is constantly one of the arguments that these oil companies make for defending these projects. So these countries have a right to develop themselves. You know, they haven't reached sort of like equitable living standards that a lot of the global north have, and don't we owe them that? But they don't see any of this money. They're neo-colonial projects that just see the continued extraction of the wealth and resources of these global south countries funneled back to the global north, to these big businesses surrounding us in the city of London where we are now. It's just another method to fuel this dramatic inequality that we've been seeing for so long.
Yeah. And I mean, we just heard from some people on the from the area talking about this. But what is kind of the feeling in the region about ECOP? Is there much resistance to it locally in Uganda and Tanzania?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, the activists there, they don't even necessarily define themselves as activists. They're communities whose lives, livelihoods, everything is at stake because not only is ECOP potentially destroying our future with the carbon emissions that the crude oil pipeline will in the future emit, it's destroying land, it's destroying communities just by being built. So yeah, we're here to stand in solidarity with these communities who are fighting on the front lines and who so frequently are treated absolutely brutally by police forces there. So it's the least we can do to be here today.
Yeah. No, it's brilliant to have Global Justice Now here. For those viewers who don't know about the organisation yet, can you tell us a little bit about Global Justice Now? And what is global justice?
Oh, really big question. I mean, essentially, we're fighting for an end to global inequality, and that's a really big thing. But we can do it by primarily tackling these massive corporations that are one of the biggest kind of fuelers of increasing global inequality. So, as we've just seen, like they conduct these massive projects, and they pocket all of the wealth. I mean, just 5 big oil companies are responsible historically for 11% of global emissions. That's huge. That's 5 companies compared to the rest of the world, the rest of the global population. So we tackle them and we tackle their power, and you have a significant chance of being able to reduce the inequality gap and end the climate crisis that they're driving.
Yeah. And so what kind of project does Global Justice Now do? So do you work with those communities on the ground, or how does it work exactly?
We tend to work, we're a UK-based organisation, so we have a lot of internationalist links. We'll often do demos like this in solidarity with Global South kind of movements. But yeah, most of our work is based here. We campaign on wherever we think we can find sort of chinks in the armour of the global economic system, whether that's kind of big trade deals or the pharmaceutical system, those kind of big structures of power that are driving inequality between the global north and the global south. And a lot of those mechanisms, those institutions are based here. So we're in a really, really good position to change them from here.
Yeah. Because I'm finding that a lot as well, is that people are like, oh, well, if you're worried about Uganda or Tanzania, shouldn't you be out there? But actually the answer is, this is where it starts.
Totally. All of the corporations that are exploiting these countries are based here. So we can protest outside their physical buildings, and we can take it to the government, who can tax these corporations properly. That's one of the main things that we're asking for. Is loads of these corporations are based here in London. Let's tax them properly and use those funds to finance the climate transition that we so desperately need, and primarily to be able to give money for loss and damage to countries in the global south who are suffering now as a result of those emissions that we've talked about.
I mean, it's incredible work that you're doing. If people want to find out more, where do they go?
You can go to our website, globaljusticenow.org.uk. You can go to our social media. It's all very easy to find. We have activist groups all across the country, including a youth network. So there's loads to get involved in. And yeah, we're always after new supporters, new members. Anyone can get involved.
Thank you so much, Daisy. So that's Daisy from Global Justice Now. Absolutely delighted to have you here. And thank you so much for talking to us more about the issue. It's so complicated and it's not straightforward. You think you understand it, and then this whole other layer appears, and yeah, it's very complicated. So thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being on the live stream. Right, there's more speakers, so I think we should go and we've got Patience here as well. I'm going to pass the mic.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, it's taken a little bit of organisation. It's exciting, all this stuff. You never quite know what's going on. So, Patience, you're here from the Stop ECOP campaign. And I guess not everyone will know even what ECOP is. By the end of today, I'm hoping more and more people will know. But can you explain a little bit, first of all, just to the people watching the stream, what ECOP is about and why it's just so absolutely, utterly horrendous?
Am I supposed to look here?
Yeah, you can speak to me or speak to me. It's up to you.
Well, East Africa, ECOP is the East African Crude Oil Pipeline that is stretching over 1,443 kilometers from northern part of Uganda down to Tanga to the Indian Ocean in Tanzania. This so-called eco project is a climate bomb in a making.
How can I even call it an eco project?
Actually, yeah, it's a climate bomb in a making. It's a total project that is prepared to devastate livelihoods, to displace thousands and thousands of people. Even before its construction, 100,000 people have been displaced from their homelands, leaving them homeless and hardly with nothing to survive with. Because literally before, people depended on Lake Victoria. People depended on, they had farmlands in this place. But right now, people do not have their farmlands anymore. Those ones that used to carry out fishing on Lake Victoria, it's normal. And this is going to happen even in the future. How? A third of this pipeline is passing through Lake Victoria Basin, which is a threat to biodiversity, aquatic life, and swamps, lakes, rivers along the way. This pipeline is not going to benefit Uganda as a country, nor Tanzania, but instead benefits the rich and the rich nations. For instance, Total is to get 64%. Uganda is to get 15%.
Okay.
And Tanzania 15%, which is a not balanced plan.
Yeah, it's unjust, isn't it? And
Yes.
can I? I was just going to ask you something, because this is really important what you're saying. So yesterday I was standing out front of the InterContinental Hotel,
How was that too?
and they were saying, and people who were trying to get into the conference were speaking to me, and they were saying, what do you think about the Africans who need the oil to help them transition? And we're, you know, what are you trying to stop them from getting that? And I was like, no, we're not. What we need a just transition, a fair transition. And it seems completely like a complete lie, because the history of all these companies has been to take the money out of your country.
And I want to make this clear. Uganda does not need oil to develop. Oil does not build Uganda's economy. Uganda is an agriculture-based country. When you look at the statistics, Uganda benefits more from agriculture, afforestation, fishing on Lake Victoria, and all this is at stake because of one pipeline that is to be constructed. And also, the so-called promised jobs, that temporary jobs, Uganda is not going to develop, but rather the pipeline is going to worsen the situation. So to me, it's not a development project for Uganda.
So that's one of the things I think is really interesting. Let's cross over this sort of barrier thing here. It seems to me like quite often times this is a tactic used by the fossil fuel companies to delay action. They're saying, oh, you know, this is about development. How can you hold back these countries? And it's actually what we need is a fair transition where actually the people who are involved in this get to choose, make the decisions rather than these oil companies that they only have an interest in your country, basically because of the money that they can take out of it.
Yeah, it's very clear that these companies, banks, are interested in making more and more profits and extracting more and more fossil fuels on the African continent. Africa is least responsible for climate change. Africa contributes less than 4% of the total global emissions, but suffers the most to climate change. When you look at the north, it's full of sense.
Yeah.
Let me give you a balance. The global north, when they get climate change impacts, they have ways to adapt and mitigate.
Yes.
But for us, we lose lives, we lose property, we lose our loved ones, and at the end of the day, we are snatched out what we own.
Yeah, it's theft. It's theft.
Yes, that's theft. And at the end of the day, they say that they're bringing all these oil projects to develop. When you look at history, how they started, and ECOP is a continuity and exploitation. What does this mean to us and to our nation? It means death. It means theft. It means human rights violation. It means exploitation. ECOP is a clear explanation of colonialism. It's a clear explanation of exploitation. It's a clear explanation of death. It's a clear explanation that the global north does not like to see African countries developed, but greed for profits. Yes.
Thank you, Patience. And I think it's just worth saying, so this is something that I learned so much about. We don't really, some of us here in this country think, being an environmental protector is doing our recycling and, maybe trying to use public transport. But actually, it's understanding that this is about far bigger problems, actually, in many ways. Environmental devastation is actually a product of many different things. And one of these big ideas is neocolonialism. There's a racism element built into it. And it seems to me that this ECOP pipeline is just an example of something that, is a history repeating itself. And I just want to ask finally, if you would, what is your next steps in the Stop ECOP plan? Do you have ideas of what's going to happen in this campaign?
Well, I don't need to show people or tell people what is going to come out, because we have already seen that activism works. Activism has led 26 banks pull out of ECOP, 23 insurance companies pull out of ECOP, and this is a sign of success to us. But we shall not keep quiet until we achieve what we want. And what we want right now is an end to ECOP. What we want now is an end to fossil fuel drivers into financing fossil fuels. Yes, we want them to divest their investments. Africa experiences 12 hours of the sun.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity for us to go renewable, to actually be renewable energy drivers. Let them invest billions of dollars that they're planning to invest in such a project and very many projects that are yet to be constructed on the African continent and all over the global south. Let it be divested into renewable energies.
Cool, and that's a really nice one. This is about leapfrogging. You know, in the north here, fantastic benefits from fossil fuels, but that system is harmful and is coming now to its end where we can see the damage it's causing. And when in a just and sensible transition, we would help other countries in the global south to leapfrog that, get the benefits of the resources that they have for themselves.
And also, I want to make this clear to the global north. Divesting your investment is not helping us. You're not helping us. It's doing the right thing. And the right thing right now is to divest investments from fossil fuels to renewable energy. This is helping me and you, helping my future and your future. Yes, thanks.
Thank you so much, Patience. Look, that's so good. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for taking the time. And I think it's really important now we're all learning. There's so many different angles here. So I'm really grateful for you spending that time. I'll let you go and carry on with your campaigning. Good work. See you. Thank you so much. The Stop ECOP campaign is super awesome. They know what's going on. And I have to be honest with you, the more you learn about it, it's actually about wrong things about the damage, the ecological damage. You can talk about, carbon emissions. But what it really boils down to is right and wrong. It is wrong that these countries, that these people are exploited in such a way to continue what we have here, which is damaging us as well as them. And it seems to me it's insane. It's insane and it's also wrong. And that is, again, why I believe we have to stand up. It's up to all of us to search inside ourselves. It's not necessarily easy. It's not necessarily comfortable, but we have to stand up. And as I can see, actually, we're just come round the corner. I'm learning my way around London as you go, as being a part of Extinction Rebellion. You learn a lot about London. We're just arriving at the Lloyd's building, which in fact, Patience was referring to. Oh no, or was it Will earlier on? Lorraine, I'm going to hand over to you because I'm worn out for the moment.
Yeah, I know. I think we're both a bit worn out. So I think we're quickly going to go to a clip from inside one of the occupations. And then you'll come back to us outside the Lloyd's building in a moment. So let's see some pre-records from what happened earlier, I hope.
So would you like to tell us why we're here and where we are?
Hi, we are in the City of London, just across from Lloyd's of London, and we are downstairs at the offices of Chaucer Insurance, and that is a subsidiary of China Re. And China Re are planning to, or we believe that China Re are planning to insure the ECOP pipeline, that is the East Africa crude oil pipeline. And this would be an absolute disaster. That would be horrendous, just absolutely a total crime. East Africa pipeline goes through a few countries, including Uganda. This would be pumping enormous amounts of oil, and the profits would go to large multinational companies. We absolutely need to stop this. Insurance is a really valuable way of, insurance is really significant for these pipelines, and they absolutely cannot operate without insurance. So the insurers here, while they may not realize it, they have an enormous amount of power to prevent these projects from going ahead.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Hi, I'm here in the walkie-talkie building today. I'm in the walkie-talkie building today to call on 7 insurance companies here to join others in committing to not funding the West Cumbria coal mine and the ECOP pipeline in East Africa. We're at a time when we just cannot afford any new fossil fuels. The International Energy Agency, the UN, and thousands of international scientists have said that new fossil fuels, new oil, coal, gas, means irreversible climate breakdown and going towards the collapse of our societies. Specifically, the UK government's own Climate Change Committee has condemned the proposal to open the West Cumbria coal mine. This would be the first new underground coal mine in the UK in decades. And the coal that would be extracted from it, most of it would be exported. It would be exported, so it wouldn't even be for our own use. And most of it is of too poor quality to use in the UK. And UK steelworks are actually moving towards electrification anyway. So the whole project is just a disaster. There is no purpose and no use in it, and it is dangerous for us. It needs to be thrown in the bin.
With a turnover of almost 2 billion in 2022. Chaucer is one of the biggest failures at Lloyd's when it comes to the climate. Lloyd's has asked its members to stop insuring new coal plants, coal mines, tar sands, and Arctic drilling by January 2022. However, Lloyd's does not enforce its recommendations, and it is up to the insurers whether they want to follow it or not. And Chaucer decided not to follow Lloyd's recommendations to protect our planet. Chaucer has not adopted any fossil fuel restrictions, and that means they intend to go on insuring sands, Arctic drilling, or oil and gas projects. Because Chaucer ignores the guidance that Lloyd's has issued, it has tarnished its own reputation and that of other insurance at Lloyd's with more progressive climate policies. Chaucer has also failed to rule out insuring more of the world's most controversial carbon bomb projects, including Trans Mountain Pipeline in Canada, the Adani coal mine in Australia, and the proposed coal mine in West Cumbria. However, Chaucer seems to think it is trying to protect the planet. Chaucer's sustainability policy says they've replaced their copy machines with ones that use 90% less energy. And all their toiletries are now environmentally and vegan friendly. But we know we can't let these companies that actively fund and insure the climate crisis think they are getting away with being more sustainable by adopting these tiny, meaningless changes. We are living in unprecedented times, and all those who fund the climate crisis are responsible. July 2023 was the hottest month on record, with more than 3.8 billion people, that's nearly half the world's population, experiencing sustained extreme heat between June and August. The International Energy Agency has stated clearly that we can build no new oil, gas, or coal if we are to meet our 1.5 goal and protect the health of the planet. Secretary General Antonio Guterres said in June 2023 that investing in new fossil fuels is moral economic madness. He says financial institutions everywhere must end lending, underwriting, and investments in coal anywhere, and they must commit to end financing and investment in exploration for new oil and gas fields. They must invest instead in the just transition in the developing world. The good news is our campaigning is working. Coal companies are now finding it almost impossible to get insurance for their operations. However, most insurers continue to underwrite the expansion of oil and gas infrastructure, and this is where we must continue to take the fight. Collectively, the 62 insurers of Lloyd's Market are the world's biggest fossil fuel insurers, earning an estimated 2.2 billion in premiums last year. Insurance is the Achilles heel of the fossil fuel industry. New projects cannot go ahead without insurance, and most production will quickly grind to a halt without it. This is why we must continue to fight to get insurance companies to state they will not insure ECOP. So chant with me. Chaucer, don't insure ECOP. Chaucer, don't ECOP. Chaucer, don't ECOP. Chaucer, don't ECOP. Don't ECOP. Don't ECOP. Chaucer, don't insure ECOP. Chaucer.
That was someone from Tipping Point, really, really interesting organisation. If you want to find out more, they are tippingpointuk.org. tippingpointuk.org.
People going about their day-to-day business of earning a living. What we do have is a message for your chief executives and shareholders and your head offices across the world, and indeed those other few insurance companies that have still not taken the ethical stand on this issue. We are asking you to publicly commit to not insuring the East African crude oil pipeline. If this pipe goes ahead, it will 6 billion barrels of oil a year, contributing 34 million extra tons of CO2 into the atmosphere every year. That is 30 times the annual emissions of Uganda and Tanzania combined. Some of us here today are members of Greenpeace, some Friends of the Earth, some Extinction Rebellion, some Just Stop Oil. All of us are deeply concerned about the climate emergency. But in the end, there is only so much we as individuals and organisations can do. But you, Chaucer, have the power to help avert climate catastrophe. By refusing to insure this pipeline, you can help stop it going ahead. You can be on the right side of history. Woo! Many insurance companies across the world are taking an ethical stand now and are ruling out insuring dangerous new fossil fuel projects. It boosts their reputation and makes good business sense too. It would be wonderful if Chaucer could join them. Those with a financial interest in the East African crude oil pipeline going ahead accuse their opponents in the global north of being happy to go on exploiting fossil fuels themselves and just not wanting the people of Uganda and Tanzania to enjoy the benefits of fossil fuels that we enjoy. They claim that everyone in Uganda and Tanzania wants this pipeline to go ahead. Neither of these claims is true. We know that 92% of global carbon emissions in excess of the planet's capacity have been caused by the richest nations of the global north, especially the United Kingdom. And we know that the worst effects of climate change are being felt by countries in the global south, countries with the lowest carbon emissions, countries that have done least to cause the climate crisis. And that is why we are against all new fossil fuel development, especially here in the UK. We oppose Surrey County Council's decision to approve the drilling of new oil wells at Horse Hill. We oppose our government's ridiculous decision to develop a new coal mine in West Cumbria. We oppose our government's disastrous decision to allow Equinor to develop the Roseback oil Shetland Islands. And we oppose the East African crude oil pipeline, not just because it will be a disaster for climate change and the environment, but because it will be a disaster for the people of Uganda and Tanzania, who are being forcibly evicted from their land in order to make way for the pipeline, whose water supply has been contaminated by oil leaks, and who are being arrested in prison, daring out against time. We're forced country to stand here without fear of being imprisoned. And so we are here to show support and solidarity for the people of Uganda and Tanzania. They are asking you, Chaucer, please don't fund our destruction. Your future.
Hello. Speaking here, I think that might be the end of it. Shout now if you're speaking here. People, we are going to wait to make up. The stewards are up towards the building, also up. So, the people inside this building. I've been here until close of business. Amazing. Yeah, this way we had.
So we just heard some very powerful speeches there. As I was saying earlier, that was someone from Tipping Point speaking, a really interesting organization looking at, in fact, I can see her now. So let's see if she wants to speak to us. Hello. Sorry to disturb you. Great speech. Are you happy to talk a little bit more? Yeah. Sorry. Always interrupting people's conversations. But yeah, let's find out a little bit more about Tipping Point.
Someone shouting, oh my God, oh my
Total Energy's own surveys have said that a transfer spill is almost guaranteed, and so we're asking insurance companies in the building today to not be complicit in climate change, to not be complicit in the continuation of neo-colonial devastation, and to instead refuse to not insure ECOP and to not insure where.
Would you like to introduce yourself and say where we are?
Hi, yeah, I'm Mark. I'm from Christian Climate Action, and we're in a building that Chaucer rent rooms in. Chaucer, who may insure the ECOP pipeline.
Okay. And what's happening now? The police have arrived?
Yeah, so I think the police arrived 3 or 4 minutes ago. There's 6 or 7 of them around us, and we're singing together. We're singing Kumbaya, but that's you can probably hear it in the background. It's quite comforting, actually, to be singing while you're surrounded by the police. So yeah.
How are you feeling at the moment?
Yeah, I think I'm okay, actually. Yeah, I'm okay.
Is it because you're doing something about the climate and it feels good, or tell us why it feels
clearly, good? Yeah, there's no question if you think about this, or if I think about this, I should be sitting here doing this. So that gives me some confidence that I'm doing the right thing. Yeah.
Have you got a message for people watching? But I'm thinking if they want to do something like this.
I just think, do something and then do the next thing and do the next. Yeah, just slowly increase perhaps what you're prepared to do, and that's the way to do it.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks.
Great, cheers.
coal mine should never be happening in the first place. Our own government made a statement during the COP26 conference that there would be no new fossil fuel projects in this country. 2 years later, due to pressure from their friends in the fossil fuel industry, they announced that they would be opening a new coal mine. During this time, what is the one thing we have been saying for the last decades in the climate movement? We have been saying we can have no new coal as a first step towards any meaningful climate action. And yet this government is trying to open a new one in West Cumbria.
Okay, thank you.
I'll go and find someone. All right, then we're back. We're back here at the Lloyd's building. We've just had a little cheeky detour by XR Rhythms. Climbed up the steps. That's a famous site that we occupied actually. I think it was last year for a whole day. We shut down this Lloyd's insurance building, prevented them about their business. Just to raise that awareness about what it is that they're up to, their part they play. I've got to put the little furry thing on there. There we go. Mariah, have you got someone to... Oh, no, it looks like we're good to go. Here we go. Hello, I'll go for it now. What's your name? I remember you spoke earlier, but it's already gone through. Go on, what's your name?
Rosanna.
Rosanna. And tell us, Rosanna, what's going on? What are you here for today? Let's walk as well. We're going to try and catch them up. You're right going backwards, yeah?
So we are here to tell insurance companies to not insure ECOP. ECOP is the East African crude oil pipeline. And we know without insurance, it cannot go ahead. And it's really important because in Uganda and Tanzania, this pipeline would destroy people's lives, livelihoods, and the environment. And we've already got 23 insurance companies to say that they won't insure ECOP. But we are here today to tell the ones who haven't yet said that they won't insure it. We're here to tell them that they must not insure ECOP. And we're going to continue doing our actions. We're going to be escalating until they say that they will not insure ECOP.
And this is what's really interesting, right? So the environmental movement now is coming at these problems from all different directions, right? And it's really interesting. Like today, we're focusing on finance and insurance and those enablers. It's super interesting to hear that insurance now is actually becoming harder to find. So companies are saying, actually, no, we don't want this. And we're putting pressure and exposure, really, is what they don't want, onto these companies to say, actually, we know what you're up to. Are you actually going to go ahead? And it seems like this is a very clear plan of yours. And how many insurance companies do you think still need to be turned around?
I'm not sure about the exact numbers of how many we need to, but we know, so like we're here next to Lloyd's of London, which has lots of insurance companies inside. We're still like figuring out, which ones we need to target. And what you're saying is right, like fossil finance is something that we haven't targeted so much in the past, but it's something that's so these fossil fuel projects really need. And here in London is where so much of this finance is, and this is why we need to stand in solidarity with all these other countries that are facing these horrible fossil fuel projects, because here in London we can actually have a safe fossil finance companies, so that's banks and insurance companies.
And it's really interesting as well. I think that, again, sometimes people will say, what about China and India? They're doing X, Y, and Z. What about them? What about them? And we're saying, actually, there are levers we can pull in this country. There are things that we do to expose, to put pressure on, to actually create action on this climate ecological emergency that people don't necessarily realise. I think it's really great. The Stop ECOP campaign is showing another way we can put pressure.
In London in particular, finance really is. It's at the heart here. And so, we talk about these other countries, but really where they're getting the finance and the funds from, it is often in the City of London. So, we are in such a position that we must be, holding our country, our city to account.
And so I just got one question to ask you finally, if that's all right. What would you say to people who are watching this live stream at home? Perhaps they're the sort of people, some people are watching maybe have been to a protest before, but some people who are probably not, and they're thinking, I'm not sure about this. Is this the right thing for me to do? Is this something I can do? They might be thinking, is this the sort of thing that is effective and good? What would you say to people who are just not quite decided yet?
I would say get involved in any way you can. Obviously, we're on the streets today. There's people occupying, but there's also so much more that you can do at home if you just want to just get a taste of it. We are so powerful together. There's things like calling up insurance companies. We've gotten a lot of these insurance companies to say no to ECOP. Cool. Before even going to their doorstep, we've called up the people inside. We've sent emails, thousands and thousands of emails, and often that's enough to get them to drop ECOP. It's just these insurance companies that still haven't.
These are the stubborn ones.
Yeah, these are stubborn. So we're escalating these actions, but there's so much that people can do at home. We've got these new fossil fuel projects like Rosebank, so we're going to have to start targeting the fossil finance around that. And ECOP was meant to be built a few years ago, and hasn't properly been built. They have already started to make way, but because there's no insurance, there's no funding, they cannot continue with the project. So we are keeping the fossil fuels in the ground by stopping this fossil finance and doing things, calling up the companies, emailing the companies is so important too.
So look, the message is, if you're watching this, please, find a way to express yourself. Find a way to express what's in your heart, what's in your mind. you know, this is wrong, what's going on is not correct, it isn't right, we need to find a way of standing up. There's lots of different ways, and people like you, people like me, people like all the wonderful people are here, people who are at home, calling up, emailing, there's different ways, but we all have to be doing, this is not a hobby, this is our lives now, this is investing in our future, it's investing in the future of all life on Earth, beings, the time is now. So thank you so much for being here, that's super cool, and yeah, thank you for all the efforts that you're making. Wow, so yeah, look, we're just crossing the road as usual. We have our banners to keep everything organised. You'll see the stewards dressed in their pink jackets. Extinction Rebellion protests are always really well organised. We have lots and lots of different teams. You can join teams. A lot of people say, oh, you know, you have to get arrested. Actually, that happens. It's only a part of some of our actions. There's lots and lots of our actions. Need lots and lots of people supporting and sustenance, making food, giving out biscuits to people who are occupying the buildings, for example. We need people who are talking to the media, working with the media behind the scenes. We need people who are out there doing first aid if needed, people holding banners, handing out leaflets. If you enjoy chatting to people, there's something for everybody. So please just get involved. Find a way, find your local group in whatever group it is. Now is the time. Do not stay at home any longer. We've got to get on it. We've got to get out there. We've got to make action happen because we are running out of time. Everything that we do is important. Even if it's not in a way that you know is perfectly effective, we're not necessarily sure exactly what we're doing is going to be right or wrong, but we know that what we're doing is morally correct. We know that it's going to be important in the whole scheme of things to stand up right now rather than just sit on the background. So I think we're going to, well, should we go and have a look further inside? Let's go and have a look in the crowd and see if we can see what's going on. Lots and lots of police are here already. In fact, can we look up? Let's have a look at a massive walkie-talkie building. It's pretty epic up there. Let's go and have a look inside. I'm going to try and see if we can...
So, Etienne, we've got some people in front of the window who might want to have a little wave at the live stream. It's a bit loud, though. But...
Well, we'll see if we can get in there and without it being... So it looks like there's a load of people inside. Here we go. So we've got a load of people in the house. Yeah, how nice. Oh, everyone's here. I see a bunch of familiar faces from different times, different little campaigns over the years. And we are calling it, they're exposing them. And what we know is that these companies, these organisations do not like the scrutiny. They're used to operating behind the scenes. They're used to operating out of the sight of ordinary people. But when the spotlight shines on them, very often they choose to change their behaviours. And right now it seems like, you know, these insurance companies that are being targeted today are those ones who are stubbornly holding on to ensuring damaging projects like the East African Crude Oil Pipeline, like the West Cumbria coal mine. These projects are completely out of step with what's needed. And so, you know, these insurance companies are potentially a way in to get these projects stopped. And that's getting really loud. We're going to move out, so we're going to find a way through here. But let's go along the window once more and say hello again. See if we can get away from each one. It's like one of those things. Hello! Everyone's waving. So these people must have got in. It's very brave of them, but at the same time, when you're together with lots of other good people, you always need to be less brave than you think because you're there with people who are also believing with what you're doing. They're doing the right things, and we're all supporting each other, which is a really nice thing. And it's that sense of support. If you feel anxious, if you feel alone, if you feel worried, if you feel helpless, despairing, then please just know that actually there are many other people out there in the world who care, who are prepared to take action. And as usual, the atmosphere is really good. The police are, you know, here in numbers as usual. but they know what to expect from Extinction Rebellion protests. We're always peaceful, always disciplined, things are calm, things are organised. It's always a little bit noisy, it's always a bit loud. It can get a little bit, what's that word? You have to work things out on the fly sometimes. But one thing as I know is that we're always committed to non-violent direct action, we're always committed to peaceful protesting, and it's a really nice to do if you're feeling worried, if you're feeling that, you know, what's going on is wrong, but you don't know what to do. You need to come and join us. There's lots of other groups out there. I'm going to go and try and find someone to speak to. Should we do that? Here we go. I'm just going to go and try and collar somebody. Here we go. Go through this way here. Excuse me. Thank you. Would you like to talk on the live stream a little bit? No, it's okay. That's fine. Right. I'm going to... Excuse me. Would it be all right just to talk to you on the live stream just for a moment? No, that's all right. No, people are sometimes a bit shy. That's okay. I'm going to find someone. Hello. Would you like to talk on the XR live stream just for a little moment? I just want to... What it is you're here for? What has brought you out into the streets of London today? And like, what is it that's making you feel like you need to be here?
I think that what XR have organised today is absolutely brilliant for raising awareness about the fact that the whole of the fossil fuel industry is supported by a whole load of other businesses. And in London, as you said earlier, we are right at the heart of it. And if we understand the chain and that allows all of this to carry on and put pressure on these companies who don't think they're any part of it or hide under the radar, then we need to shame them wherever they are, make them pariahs. So the oil companies are the obvious ones to go for, but this is going to help too. So that's why I'm here.
And, you know, I guess I'm wondering, you know, have you been involved in this sort of thing? And meaning, you know, you could have been involved in Extinction Rebellion or other groups. Have you been doing this for a while now?
I actually have started protesting in July this year.
Okay.
Which is quite recent. I've been involved sort of through my life with other things, sort of through family and stuff, but I just got totally frustrated, really depressed, and I decided that even if it did nothing at all, which sound about me, I had to do something. I could not do anything anymore because it's just desperate. So I joined Just Stop Oil and I slow marched with them. And then I joined Fossil Free London, and that's how I got here today, because I went yesterday to the oil conference. And I'm really, really happy to be working with XR. I think it's so great. We've all got to stick together.
Yeah, we are all sticking together because we all know what the deal is, right? We've all got slightly different ways of doing things, slightly different organisation, different ways of methods. But I want to ask you, because what you said earlier was really interesting. You said you're really depressed, and I don't know if you might not want to talk about that exactly, but, you know, what was it that was bringing you down?
It was just the unremitting stupidity that I had to hear every day. I'm interested, I listen to the news, I watch the news, and all I could hear was stupid, conflicted messages from our government, from our media, who will tell you in one breath about something that's absolutely horrendous, and in the next breath about something just makes it worse. And I just felt like I was losing my mind. And I wanted to do something, and slow marching was the first thing I did. But I feel like there's lots of things that we can all do. And the more of us that do it, something might change. But there's got to be a massive, widespread pressure. And I would just urge anyone who's depressed, come and join us, because that will make you feel better.
And it's been, you know, for me, I think it's really nice because sometimes in your community, in your little bubble, you might be one of the only people who is like really struggling, right? Who is really feeling this. Yeah. And actually, maybe there's a few other people who kind of like, oh, they get it, but they're not really struggling. Exactly right. But then when you come here, there's people who've kind of been through that. And we are like, actually, we're together now. We're doing something important. And it must feel, you look happy here.
I am happy here because you don't have to explain yourself. And I've got friends who are really sympathetic, and I've got family who are really sympathetic. But yeah, you don't have to explain yourself here, and it feels good. And it's not just about me feeling good, but I feel it's a really good use of my energy. And so I'm just going to keep on coming.
Cool. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to try. It seems like there's something going on over there. Oh, it looks like they're starting to talk. Thank you so much for talking to us. That was really good.
Who is activist on the front line in Uganda, who's come over to visit, and she's got a few words to say about this awful project that the people in this building are potentially complicit in. Patient. Thank you.
How do we feel? Well, we are unstoppable. Another world is possible. I stand before you today outside this building filled with insurers, not just as a climate activist from Uganda, but as a representative of the resistance against the East African Crude Oil Pipeline, or ECOP. I want to share with you why it is of utmost importance for insurers to join the right side of history and rule out this project. First and foremost, the resistance to the East African Crude Oil Pipeline in Uganda has been growing stronger day by day. It's not just about the pipeline. It's about preserving our land, our way of life, and our future. I have been deeply involved in this movement because I'm from Uganda, and I've seen the devastating impacts this project could have on our people. We are on the front line of the climate breakdown, and we are being forcibly removed from our homes to make a way for this unwanted heated pipe, which threatens to destroy our farmlands and the rich diversity that surrounds us. We are the ones who will bear the brunt of the consequences when oil spills occur, whether it's our land or us. Into the precious water of Lake Victoria, we will suffer the consequences of the additional carbon being pumped into the atmosphere. While our country is left to pay the debt incurred, corporations like Total and global northern countries and governments stand to reap the profits.
Shame! Shame!
This is neither wanted nor just. What we truly desire is clean, sustainable energy, not dirty extraction that ravage our lands and benefits only the already wealthy. But we remain steadfast in our against the climate because we believe that the balance, our biodiversity, and our people can be saved from the grasp of ECOP. That's why I pledge to keep fighting, keep raising my voice, keep on standing up for the rights of my people and for the future of our planet. Now I call on all of you here in the heart of the insurance industry to be part of this crucial movement. Without insurance or financing, ECOP will not see the light of the day. Without this project, the many planned oil extraction and development will not go ahead. This means that precious national parks like Virunga and Makshan Falls can remain untouched. Our beautiful land and rich biodiversity can be saved from the destruction of ECOP. And our people can be protected from the harmful consequences of this project. So I implore you to step up and rule out of this climate bomb from your portfolios. Join us in our fight to protect our environment, our people, and our future. We need to work together, united in purpose. I'm talking about the insurance companies. We must stop the pipeline, and we are calling on you, the insurers and financiers, to play your part in making that happen. Together united, we will never be defeated. Thank you very much.
United will never be defeated. The people 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 united will never be defeated. The people.
Hello. Hello. Many of you will have heard what I'm about to say already, but it bears repeating. In December last year, the British government approved the building of the first deep coal mine in the UK for a generation at Whitehaven in West Cumbria. Use of this coal would emit 9 million tonnes of CO2 each year and 220 million tonnes over the lifetime of the mine. I've come to London with a group from Cumbria committed to stopping this coal mine. Why London? Because many of the companies that can enable it to be built are based here. And several of the insurance companies are based in this building. The company that chooses all the coal mine operation is as complicit in the general consequences as the developer who digs the pit. So we're here today to demand that Ascot, Markle, Allied World, CNA Hardy, Tokyo Marine Kiln, Sirius International and Lancashire syndicates take a stand against the coal mine. We need all of them to say no to ensuring this dangerous and irresponsible project. We are taking to the streets today to stand up for the health of our families and our communities and that of future generations. We are not alone. Today, tens of thousands of people across the UK and millions more across the world are saying no to fossil fuels, no to the West Cumbria coal mine, yes to green jobs, jobs that contribute to protecting life on Earth, not destroying it. The warnings from scientists and energy experts are clear. We can have no new fossil fuel projects if we to avoid the worst impacts of runaway climate breakdown. So we say no to the West Cumbria coal mine, yes to green jobs. Many of us feel helpless in our daily lives to change the big things that matter. But Ascot, Markle, Allied World, CNA Hardy, Tokyo Marine Kiln, Sirius International and Lancashire syndicates, you have the power to shift systems. You are insurers. You are society's risk managers. You are uniquely placed to shape a safe, healthy transition to a decarbonised society. Already, 4 of your competitors have shown this leadership. They have ruled out ensuring the proposed West Cumbria coal mine. Will you join them? Will you say no to ensuring the West Cumbria coal mine? This is a no time for a coal mine. Don't insure coal. 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 Thank you.
Let's see if there's any more speakers. Hello, is it this one? Or is it this one? This one. Okay. Great, brilliant. Oh, it's both. Great. Oh, careful. So we've got some amazing visitors from Paris, and I'm just going to go and interview them now. Let's see. Oh. This one. Oh, both. Oh. Great. Okay, so let's go. We'll just find out. One moment. Oh, sorry. She's just. I feel like I keep interrupting people, trying to get them to us. But oh, anyway, so. Not live? No. Yeah. So we're just about to interview someone who's come from. So which group have you got, guys? Which group? Who are you? Welcome.
Yes, we're all coming from the collective Stop Total in France, and we started it all last year doing actions against the ECOP project, and it's working very well. We've been not only groups in France, but also all over the world, in the UK as well, obviously in Uganda and Tanzania, but it's way harder to protest.
Yeah.
And we've been very successful. Right now, 27 banks and 23 insurers have said they wouldn't insure or finance ECOP. So right now, Total doesn't have any financings. They don't have any insurers backing them. So they can't start the project. That's why the project has been delayed for 5 years.
So just to clarify to people at home who perhaps don't know anything about ECOP, so is Total the ones that are going to be running it, or they're the ones who want to do it?
Exactly. They own the majority of the project. They own more than 60% of the project. There's also a Chinese company that's called CNOC, who owns 10% of the project. And then the Ugandan government owns a little part of the project as well.
Yeah. Okay. And so you guys have just come from Paris. What have you been doing? I'm loving the outfits. What do your actions look like?
So our actions are more, we don't do civil disobedience, we do more lobbying. We go talk to banks, we call banks to ask them to drop ECOP. And it's been working very well because we've been different groups, so many different groups with different tactics. And us, we're students, so we know we also have a big power in front of the insurers and banks because they know that they want to recruit us. And we're like, actually, if you do projects that are going to kill our future, we won't work for you. And it's working very well. We did also an open letter last year with 500 students signing this open letter, telling to insurers that we won't work at their offices if they insure ECOP. And that's something that scared them a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And so have you got similar groups? So have you got like a sister group here in the UK, or how does it work?
Yes, we have a sister group here in the UK of Students Against ECOP, but there are so many other organizations, Money Rebellion, Tipping Points, Collection Network, many groups against ECOP.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for being here. It's an absolute delight to have you. And how long are you guys in London? Are you doing stuff tomorrow as well?
Yes, we're joining all the actions because Total, the CEO of Patrick Pouyanné, the CEO of Total, is also at the Oily Money conference. So we're also protesting there tomorrow.
Brilliant. Well, we'll see you there. Thank you so much. There's some chanting going on now. It's got very loud, but enjoy the day and thank you for being here.
So much. Thank you.
Thanks. So, right, I think Etienne said that we had someone to interview as well. So let's go a bit back. It's getting a bit loud. So lots of amazing chanting happening here. We'll go this way. And I believe we're going to go into one of the scientists. So those of you who are fairly new to watching the live stream, the XR scientists tend to be kind of the rock star of XR because, you know, they have the knowledge, they know what it's all about. I can so we'll go. So let's go and speak to them and see where we've got see the people at the window inside here. As we say, this very building just has so many different insurance companies here. So it's a great target because obviously we have one building with loads of insurance companies that we can target. So there's loads of people inside occupying, standing out by the windows now, waving at us. Many of them are our friends, people we've known for a long time. And like everybody occupying buildings today, they're just so very brave for doing this and raising the awareness, not just with the general public, but also with the people working for those companies. They need to know that we welcome them. We want them to come and join us. We don't want them to be intimidated by us, but just say it's not too late to jump ship. You can come and stand out here with us. You can be part of this community. We welcome everybody, and we want this to be a radically inclusive space. So that includes the people who perhaps work there. We see so many young people entering those buildings, all in their little suits and everything. And I just think, what? This is your future. come and be outside with us. And I know everybody obviously needs a job. Everybody needs some kind of income. And this is why we need alternative jobs. We need green jobs. So we can be proud of the work we do and build our future. So over to Etienne.
All right, well, yeah, I've got Paul over here, and I saw your badge, very nice, very good fetching, and I thought, Paul, it'd be interesting to kind of hear, like, what is it that's kind of like, when you're on our march and doing all these things here, what is it that's kind of like driving you? Where's that energy source from for this?
Well, we're getting our energy source essentially from the fact that we know that it's madness to build any more fossil fuel projects. And we come from Cumbria, and we're living with one of these projects right on our doorstep, the West Cumbria coal mine, which has been approved by the UK government. At the moment, the process where the coal mine is going through legal review. So, but in the meantime, we're mobilising people so that when they start work on the coal mine, if they do, which we hope they don't, of course, we're ready to disrupt it.
So this coal mine is bananas, and we're talking about it. I guess we'll hopefully hear a few. What is? Just give us a couple of like facts or nuggets that kind of just encapsulate the insanity here.
Well, the coal mine that we're proposing to build in Whitehaven will emit 9 million tonnes of CO2 every year and about 220 million over its lifetime, which is a huge amount. And also, it's being basically proposed on the basis that there is a market for this coal in the UK, but there is no market for this coal in the UK.
This is one of those lies, isn't it? Again, they're trying to do some sort of energy security thing.
Yeah. It's energy security, and also saying that UK state steelmakers need this coal for steelmaking because it's not really any use for anything else. It's called coking coal.
Yeah, so a little fluffy bit fell off.
Yeah, fall off your mic. It's still working. Yeah, so there's no UK market for this coal. UK steelmakers don't want it. So it's all going to be exported. The other myth is the jobs it's going to create. So the government are basically selling it to the local community on the basis of 500 jobs being created. And there's a strong heritage in West Cumbria of coal mining. And it's also quite a deprived area. So this is very appealing to the local community. But there's no guarantee that those jobs go to local people, because clearly the skills for deep mining don't exist in the UK any longer. The last mines closed in the 1980s. And so a lot of people have been brought in to do this. So it would be very easy for the government to create that number of green jobs. 500 jobs is actually not a lot. And there's a lot of industry already in wind. There's a lot of opportunity in wind turbines on the west coast of Cumbria. There's an enormous offshore wind farm in West Cumbria. So we think that basically the government should be directing their attention to creating jobs in something that has a future. And the reason we've come here today to protest is because if this coal mine can't be insured, it can't be built. Yeah. And the several insurers already said, this is a stranded asset. We don't want to invest in this coal mine. So,
and just explain what a stranded asset is, because I think some people won't have heard that word, but actually that's a really terrifying word for lots of people.
I mean by the term stranded assets, essentially something you're investing in on the basis it's got a certain lifespan, but actually that lifespan won't exist because it will get cancelled. The project will get cancelled, all of the other new regulations put in place that mean it can't go ahead. So essentially you're insuring something on the basis of it having a lifespan of say 25 years, and it won't have that lifespan. And also the insurers are taking a risk. They don't know whether there's going to be claims made against the fossil fuel industries by individuals. We've already seen this happen in other countries in the world. So essentially they're getting involved in something that's a very unclear project in terms of the risk involved to them. And insurers don't like unclear risks. They like measured risks. So pork insurance companies already realised that, and they say we're not going to insure it. So we're just trying to put pressure on it. We think that the tide of opinion is in our direction, and by doing actions like this, we flag to the general public that there are insurance companies here doing this. And essentially, they're the enablers of this. They're the people who are as responsible for the outcomes, the ecocide and the genocide that's the outcome of this, as the people who dig the pit. So that's why we're here.
Well, look, Paul, thank you very much for being here. It sounds like you know what's going on. We want to wish you luck in your campaign. I hope anyone who's watching this is from the West Cumbria area or anywhere near that part of the world, join the campaign. Is there a way of finding out? Is there a website or something?
Yeah, we've got the Coal Action Network we're working with locally. And if you look for the slogan "No time for a coal mine," you'll also find a webpage that will direct you to where you can get involved. And we're doing a big banner job across Cumbria last weekend in October, where we're going to have No Time for a Coal Mine out. We're going to be leafleting, we're going to be fly posting. So if you want to get involved, please come and get involved with us. That'd be great to see you. So to find out about it, just try and look for No Time for a Coal Mine on the web.
Wicked. Thank you very much for all the best. No time for a coal mine. You heard it here. Thank you. So we are, in that process here of exposing and starving, I suppose, the oxygen out of these insurance companies who need to stay out. Well, it's really a bad way of putting it, really, isn't it? It's the opposite way around. We're bringing light onto them. We're exposing them, showing the public what is going on. Because once the public know what's going on, they'll go like, hold on, this doesn't make any sense at all. So we're going to go and ask another interview over here. I think, excuse me, it was just interviewing. Oh no, you're talking to someone in the. Oh no, it's all right. Okay, well, oh no, we interrupted you. Were you doing a bit of outreach there, Alex?
No.
Oh right, I thought you were just. Cool, I like it. So Alex, this is Alex, one of our scientists. Is that right, Alex?
Yeah, that's right.
What sort of scientist are you before we start?
I'm a biologist.
And you're here today. I heard you were in one of the buildings. You were in the second building. We were near the Lloyd's building, the Chelsea Insurance Company. Is that right? What was going on in there?
Yeah, that's right. We were occupying the building where Chaucer Insurance Firm. That's where they are. And Chaucer is a subsidiary of China Re, which is a insurance company, a Chinese insurance company, and we believe that they are planning to insure the ECOP pipeline, the East Africa crude oil pipeline. So yeah, we were trying to put pressure on them to drop the project.
And what was it like there? It must have been a little bit bold just to go and stand in someone's atrium or whatever it's called and just say we're not going. How did that feel?
Yeah. I mean, they really didn't want us there. The security and they were trying to move us on, and the police were called. But the police figured that this was just a matter between the police are just watching it, facilitating the protest. So yeah, that was a developing situation.
And it's a strange situation, isn't it, when we know that these companies, they don't want to be seen in public. They don't want arrests to be made. They don't want any fuss and bother. And we're actually inviting that fuss. We're inviting that to bring that scrutiny onto their activities. And what do you feel like, on a whole day like this? I think it's been really successful. There's going to be a lot more people, and a lot of these companies are going to know that we've got our eye on them.
Yeah, that's right. I think many big banks, for example, they get protests all the time and they're used to it. But these insurance companies, I would say, they're much more below the radar. They're not companies that members of the public know about very much, and so I don't think they're used to this. I think this will come as a shock.
And hopefully they'll do the right. Ensuring and enabling these projects are going to destroy our planet. It's just this nonsense. No one wants that, actually. Well, these sort of companies you'd think don't want that on their resume, on their internet pages, saying what they're up to. So, Alex, I'm just going to ask you one final question. You've been involved, protesting with Extinction Rebellion, maybe other organisations for quite a while. How are you feeling about it all right now? I mean, we're going through a bit of a time right now, watching Rishi Sunak and the government going backwards on all their promises, which were weak promises as they were. How are you feeling about all that? And are you managing to find the strength to keep going?
Yeah, well, I feel like over the last year or so, a lot of different organisations have really come together. Big NGOs, for example, as at the same time as more radical organisations. There's obviously Just Stop Oil, for example. And I feel like there have been really strong links internationally as well. This weekend we've had people from Uganda, from Norway, from the continental Europe. So I feel like really the movement is getting stronger and stronger all the time. I mean, obviously we don't know where it's going to go. I mean, the power of the organisations that we're up against is enormous. But I do still feel like we're really gathering steam, and I feel hopeful about that.
Well, look, Alex, thank you so much for what you do, mate. I really appreciate you being here. I'll let you carry on with your leafleting. Yeah, we're going to do this, man. We're winning here and we're going to crack on. Take care.
Right.
What are we doing?
I think people are starting to wrap up over here. We've had an incredible kind of almost pub crawl-like thing happening here, going from site to site, and so amazing seeing the rebels inside, doing quite spicy things, but then also being able to be very inclusive, which anyone could come to was quite low-key, and a really mix of spiciness levels.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's what we're really calling on anyone who's watched people perhaps want to get involved. There's so many different avenues for you to get involved in. There's so many different organisations out there. Extinction Rebellion, we're working really hard all the time. There's groups all around the country. We're really inviting anyone who feels like that feeling inside that it's not right and they cannot stand it anymore. Come and join one of your groups, reach out, get involved, check it out all on the internet. You'll not be alone. There's people out there. There's a community of people who care, a community of people who are prepared to stand up and do the right thing despite how it might look. And we're gonna keep pushing on.
Absolutely. And for those of you that get involved later on, if you're stuck at work right now and you're having a bit of FOMO, go to the InterContinental. The conference is still happening there, and Fossil Free London are still out there as well. There's an occupation currently going on as well at Total in Canary Wharf, I believe.
Oh, cool.
And what else? Oh, yes, and then there's, of course, the Greenwash Awards later on tonight, which is part of the PR week that's happening at the moment. There's the PR Awards tonight, and they're going to have an alternative award ceremony there for the Greenwash Awards. So if you want to join in that later tonight, you can as well. It's all on the website, on the broadcast. You can find it everywhere, social media. So just find out Greenwash Awards, you'll find it. There's just so much going on.
That's it. Come and join us. Be there. We need you. You need you. Consider it an investment in your future. We've got to do this. Let's go.
Thank you so much for watching the live stream. And thanks so much for everyone behind the scenes for making this happen. We'll see you at the next one. Goodbye. Oh, and here's some clips we recorded earlier.
All right. We'll leave officers here anyway.
Hi, my name's Rachel, and we are sat in a building on Leadenhall in the City of London, and one of the tenants here is called Chaucer, and they're an insurance firm, and we're here to ask them, as the banner says, not to consider insuring ECOP, which is this crude oil pipeline in Africa, which will cause devastation to communities there already struggling with the effects of the climate crisis. And also they are apparently considering insuring the West Cumbria coal mine.
And why is ECOP such a bad thing?
Because it will displace so many people in that part of Africa that are, anyway, but they're already struggling in the global south with the worst effects of the climate crisis.
Why have we chosen Chaucer? Are they worse than other companies? Or?
In this particular case, as I understand it, something like 25-30 other insurers have already decided against insuring these projects, but Chaucer yet are apparently still considering doing exactly that.
So what is the protest today, and what is the protest like to be taking part in?
So the protest, we're occupying the lobby of the building where Chaucer, the insurers, are, amongst other companies, which are nothing to do with this.
How does it feel to be sat here in the middle of the lobby?
It's sadly necessary. It was, yeah. It's never easy to do things like this. It's not something I thought I would ever do, but things are so desperate. We have to do everything that we can to try. I mean, we don't fool ourselves about the small impact that we're having, but you never know, and we have to try. I mean, you know, these are wonderful people. We're a rough split between Quakers, other Christian denominations, and scientists here, and there's been a Buddhist chant as well. So
I haven't heard the scientists singing very much. Do the scientists have songs?
No, they're a bit mute, aren't they? You're right. We should ask them to think of something.
We have a science song.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Where we are today.
I'm Sophie Paul, and I'm part of Scientists for Extinction Rebellion. We are at number 52 Lime Street, where one of the companies that works here is called Chaucer, which is a Chinese insurance company who we believe are considering insuring the East African pipeline. The people of East Africa have not been properly consulted about this, and they are protesting as much as they can, but they don't have as much freedom to speak as we do, and yet that oil will be taken across their countries and then taken away from them to be sold to the global north, and they're unlikely to see that money. Plus, these pipelines, similar to the one that crosses Nigeria, are likely to be to leak because people try and tap the oil out of them. It's also a heated pipeline, so it uses a lot of energy just by existing, and so it really works against the countries that it's going to cross, and we do not get a chance to speak up enough for the global south.
Why did you decide to come here and sit on the floor? What made you do that rather than write to your MP or something like that?
I write to my MP. I do all the other things. But what really we need to do is take the message to the people who make the decisions. Yeah. And Chaucer are one of the people who make the decisions, and we want their staff to know what the issues are so that they can speak up to their bosses.
What's your personal experience today? What will you tell your friends and family when you go home about today?
This was a lovely coming together of scientists and faith groups, and we all have the common theme of friendship through climate action and of really caring about the world and its future.
Thank you very much, and thank you for what you're doing today.
Thank you.